So today's episode, I'm going to be talking to Paul Shedd. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Good afternoon, Vic. How are you?
How are you, mate? It's good to see
all
you.
good. All good.
So Paul, I've got a traditional first question, which is, what do you do?
Well, I'm originally, people would know as an agency. So obviously providing acts for venues and different places, and management of artists as well. I started off with that over 20 years ago. It was actually called Celebtime Promotions, but no one's got time to say that these days. So it's narrowed down to Celebtime. Over the years, we started off by providing acts to different places, and you build up relationships with people and venues and, the trust, I suppose. And then as time went on, like I mentioned, the management side, then the infrastructure, and people were wanting us to provide everything for them, just so they got a little bit of reassurance that everything's going to be all right on the day. So an events company with management, artists, all the infrastructure, and just, anything to do with entertainment, really.
Yeah, cool. Now, I always like to sort of delve back into the past.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because I think the whole sort of thing about creativity in the arts and all the rest of it, I think this, the seeds for this stuff are planted quite early on, generally. In my experience when I've been talking to people. But when did you sort of find yourself sort of interested in sort of stuff that you could sort of go as like sort of arty, or entertainment? Let's say entertainment.
At the family home, as most people would have done a few years back, we always had a piano.
Yeah.
And the other side in the other room was an eminent organ with so it was always quite a musical family. Yeah. Not out gigging or anything, but just it was the family entertainment. I was thinking this morning, funnily enough, I can remember all my auntie and uncle, nans and grandads and everyone coming. I can remember sitting there with the banjo, my dad on the spoons.
Yeah.
Someone else. It was just what people done, wasn't it, for a good bit of fun?
It was. And I think that's something that we've sort of forgotten, isn't it?
Yeah. I was thinking today, it's a bit, I suppose people now would say they get a jamming session and get together, but I was thinking people should do it again, really, because it's just so good, isn't it?
It was. It was the sort of thing that, people didn't think about.
No, just
didn't think anything of it, did they?
No. So we sort of, music was always in the family, and I'd always had the interest in it. Obviously, I had the piano, and I just used to play it and make it up myself, really.
Yeah.
And once I went to piano lessons, and I didn't really get on that well, really, because they was all right, but obviously I can understand it, to do the scales and but I wanted to sort of get going and play a tune and have a good time,
Yeah.
So at that time, years ago, a lot of people had that, the eminent organs with the pedals and that, and there was a shop, I think in Dartford, Kempton's, I think it was called.
Yeah, Kempton's.
Yeah. Lowfield Street.
Yeah. I know that well. I used to go there. Because I used to live in Highfield Road for a while. And on East Hill.
Yeah. Anyway, we met someone there, and they give us lessons. The magical thing that they'd done for me, they used to come to the house or everything, but they give me match of the day to learn to play.
Oh, right.
Or it's a straight or a tune that I really wanted to play,
Yeah.
And so I never done grades or anything like that. I just for the fun of it, really, like I say, just enjoying. And you would know, you can lose yourself, can't you, on the keyboard or piano, and it's good to sort of have that little breakaway. So that was sort of like the foundation, I suppose, and it was just always in me. I just always had that interest in, like, whether it's like microphones, I just always had the interest in entertainment. And ever since I can remember, really, I don't know why, but I've sort of wanted people to be happy. Do you know?
Yeah, no, I understand that.
And even when I was at school, you know, anyone might say, not clown about all the time, but you just want, like, you know, to make sure things.
That's a good one. Let's just, because obviously you've mentioned Dartford, and I think Dartford's worth a mention.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were you at school then?
I was in Swanscombe. So
you were in Swanscombe, right?
Yeah, Swanscombe School,
Right.
and it was a very basic school. You know, when you look back there, you think it's interesting, some of the teachers, and a lot of my stuff was a bit boredom, really. You know, I just wanted, and you know, we'd have got in trouble for a few things, nothing nasty ever, just for the fact of probably talking too much. And
So a lot of this stuff, then you're saying about, you know, sort of the clowning around, because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people were quite good at, like in comedy, for instance. It's a sort of a safety mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
If you're one of the guys who had a joke, or, you know, or an armory of jokes, or had a sort of way of coming up and seeing the world in a slightly different way, that sort of protected you.
It's so true. Yeah, being a failure. Yeah. And I was never really academic with stuff, and you know, you're right. And you know, you just do that as I suppose it is really, you know, a mechanism to you know, tick along through the day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It
is.
No, so that was like the start of things, really. So it was always in me, you know. But I didn't actually go into entertainment when I first left school, which was well, this is it. People won't believe it. I actually worked at a pharmaceutical company. I had a little so not any bad drugs, but I say it's the drugs that made me go a bit funny, I think. And you know what it was like in them days. You was like grateful to get a job. I'm not that old, but you know, going back a little bit, but you was grateful to get a job. And my mum and dad had worked there, my sister had worked there, and it was such a good company, the Wellcome Foundation.
Yeah, I was going to say Burroughs.
It was brilliant. And you know, it used to be a saying, if you had a job there, you had a job for life. You know. So I ticked along doing that, and I met some great people. You know, and I'm still in touch with some of them now. And I was there for a few years, and I just used to think, I can't stay here all my life. And you know, I used to talk to a couple and say, don't leave, like wait till you get made redundant, or like you know, your pension. I said, yeah, but I'm going to wait 45 years just to, like, and be fed up, bored for 45 years, you know, and I hope I get a pension. And people thought I was mad because I left without any redundancy or anything. But the bit that helped me make that launch, I'd started the Celebtime off anyway while I was there, because to me, I'd like spare time, because when I used to work like 8:30 to 4:30. And so I'd started the agency while I was there, and it was getting to the stage, I was at the pharmacy, and I thought, I could be making a call now, I could be arranging an event. And it was like, where do you take that jump? You know, where do you...
So how did you start that? Because that's a little bit of a jump in, you know, you've got this company. And
so I was at the pharmaceutical company, and they had the best facilities which you will know of that you could possibly have, like a lot of the big companies did in them days.
You used to have a sort of a like a hall.
Amazing, like the ballroom, you know, the smaller hall, the marquee, the mansion house, and they used to do some big concerts and everything. So I approached the Sports and Social Club. I was sort of involved them anyway, and joined one of their little committees, and I sort of chipped away at them, and I said, would, you know, if there's any openings, would I be able to come out and help enhance the entertainment? Because what they were doing at the time was all right, but it had been done for so many years. And unfortunately, things change a bit, or people move on, or there were some redundancies, or unfortunately, some people might pass away, and the entertainment does change, you know. So anyway, I was given 20 hours a week to go and work as the entertainment manager at the Sports and Social Club. And that was my leap out, really. That gave me that extra, like, little bit of money coming in every week to know that I could go and try, you know. And the best thing ever happened to me, they had a garden party for 99 years, and I nagged away at them. I mean, that was always brilliant, because the company used to throw so much money at them type of events, you know. And I chipped away at them and said, why don't you have a live concert? It was the centenary. I said, why don't you have a live concert? you know, it would be brilliant. It's you've never done it before, you know. And anyway, they sort of went along with it, and I've done this concert for the centenary, and that in some, when I look back now, it's a little bit of a game changer really, because it was a bit like I was like, and I'm not very good at praising myself with stuff, but it was a bit like it was like it was the talk of the town and everything, because people outside, and we had a really, you know, the proper stages come in and a full lineup, and they hadn't seen anything like it before.
Who did you have?
Going back, funny enough, it was a few tributes. Stephen Mulhern, who's you know, obviously gone on to do quite a lot now. He come and hosted one of them. It followed on for a few years after. So I've got the poster somewhere with everyone on, but it would have been a few tributes. Might have had like the Drifters, you know, and a few people like that. Yeah. And just a varied program really, you know, but obviously Stevie being there was good as well. But oh, that's right, we had like a Status Quo tribute, I think, and then a Rolling. So it's sort of, and some children's entertainment earlier in the day, so it sort of went across all the. So you really so that was a massive thing really, and that went on for a lot of years after, every year, the concert, which are quite, you know, as you know, they're a big thing to manage, but I love them. I do, you know, I absolutely love I love all entertainment, as you know, but you can't beat some of the festivals when you've got a lot of the artists backstage, because you don't all get to see each other, do you? The artists, you sort of follow each other around, and even though you know people, it's not often you're all together, you know. And you can't beat to me, you can't beat a bill when you've got like 6 or 7 acts on, you know.
That's right. Well, that's amazing. So I'm quite intrigued by this, because if you go back, you know, if you go back far enough, that the whole idea, as you said, people would have said to you, you must be mad doing that. You know? Because obviously I had a similar situation, leaving a company and just sort of getting involved in music. I was lucky that I managed to get a redundancy payment. So
well, it does help, doesn't it?
Money, you know, it was just enough to sort of tide you over. But and then sort of throw yourself in the deep end, you know, see whether it was going to, if you were going to be able to do whatever it was. But people did genuinely think you must have a screw loose. But I think the thing is that if you're involved in the arts and entertainment, you've got to be, you know, not risk averse.
No, it's not.
You've got to be willing to take a chance, haven't you?
Yeah. I was talking to someone yesterday, and there's some people that just cannot cope with our type of, you know, they want to do the 9 to 5, and they want to know they get their 2,000 or 2,500 every month, whatever they get, and they can plan their life quite steady, you know, with that. Where with us, you know, they do say sometimes in entertainment it can be feast or famine, don't they? You know, especially the last 18 months. So I think you have to be cut out for it, for stuff. But you know, everyone's different, which is a good thing. The way I used to see it, you know, since I left there, you know, which is over 20 years ago, I've never got up once and not wanted to do my job. You know, we all have the bits, you know, that you have to sort out. You know, the nitty gritty stuff. But I've never really got up and not wanting to go and do my job, where I loved it. I loved the people, and I probably won't earn as much money as I've earned there with all the holidays and bonuses and shares. But I would have been probably bored for a lot of years. And the bit that upsets me sometimes with people, you know, when people have worked places, is when they work so hard. You know, like when I think back more like our nans and granddads and people, and like flogging themselves at Blue Circle and something comes, it's probably a hard graft. And some people don't get to have a retirement, do they? You know, they plan and plan and plan for that pension. So I think it's as much as you can. I know it's not easy, but I think you've got to try and enjoy your life as you go along as well, haven't you?
I do think so, yeah. I mean, again, we sound like a couple of old duffers here going on about what it was like when we were younger. But I can remember people retiring and dying within a year. That was quite a common thing.
I know. That's just wrong, isn't it?
So they'd spent all that time planning, and within a year they were dead.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was sort of so common.
Yeah.
That it was like, well, how does that happen?
Yeah.
You know, is it because it's a change?
I think that's quite a big thing, Vic. I think some people adapt. The good thing is now, well, I don't know about the future now, but going back 10 years, like my dad, for instance, retired from Welcome and had a pension. He retired at 54, 55, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of people managed to retire a bit earlier now and enjoy themselves. But there is some people, like you said, I think that's their life. And sometimes people leave and they feel a bit unwanted or not what's their point type thing. You know what I mean? They've not got other stuff to.
They've got no identity.
No. And I think that can be a bit of a factor sometimes in people going downhill, you know. But yeah, it's like we said, different things suit different people. But I knew I couldn't be there all my life, you know. And the strange thing is, just goes to show, really. I know we're going to come on to Chaz and Dave later, but Chaz used to say, great little saying, he used to say, don't plan anything, that way nothing can go wrong.
Exactly. That's a very good point.
And it's a great little saying.
Yeah, it is a good saying.
The pharmaceutical...
In actual fact, if you've got, and obviously they did plan things, but it's not like we think, you know, it's not micromanaged.
That's the thing. Have a loose plan, but not.
Yeah, you can have a loose framework, but the point about that is, otherwise, how do you take an opportunity when it arrives?
Yeah,
if you've got something planned out in a particular way. Because this is the other thing that I think that comes up quite a lot, is those odd meetings, the strange coincidences, you know, the chance meetings.
Oh, definitely.
A whole set of other parameters of. And I think when you're creative, you have to be open to opportunity.
Of course you do, yeah.
And I think, you know, his sort of turn of phrase works really well with that, because it's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. Well, going back to the pharmaceutical company, it closed.
Yes.
So I'd have been made redundant. I wasn't clever like a lot of people that work there, so I wouldn't have probably been able to transfer like a lot of my friends that were like scientists, or they could transfer to another pharmaceutical company. I think that would have been unlikely for me, and I probably wouldn't have wanted to go too far from the area, because I've got a lot of family and friends here, you know.
Yeah.
So that closed, and touch wood,
yeah.
I'm still going at the moment. So you know, so I've no regrets of doing that, you know, of leaving and trying, but.
So let's pick it up. You go back to what you said about so you got the Borough's Welcome Foundation, as it was, thing going, and then you then sort of think, right, okay, going to take the jump. So how did you do that?
Literally, because they offered me 20 hours a week to be the entertainment manager.
So that's how you did it, right?
So I had an office there, and then so the 20 hours I'd done for them, I had other time to concentrate and enhance on the agency and events and artists. But because I was so enthusiastic about it all, I was there probably 60 hours or more a week, you know, even when I was on my 20, you know, if not more sometimes. And the entertainment manager there, it was really great, Frank Brown, and he see that, and you know, some people just let you do that forever and think, well, we're getting a bargain here. But he was very fair about stuff, and they increased some of my hours as well, because he knew I was just working my socks off. Because my challenge was, they'd had like the dances for years. So the sequence of the dances used to be spring dance, Easter dance, end of season dance. Then they'd have like summer dance, Halloween, Christmas, Burns night, and they were brilliant. And in the day, you couldn't get a ticket to go. But as that dwindled away, and some of the poor people had moved away or passed away, we changed the premises to an on license. So it wasn't just members; we could bring the whole world in. And we were set with a challenge from the company, because I used to support it by about $500,000 a year, and we were set a challenge that they wanted 250,000 back. They was going to support it by 250, but we had to make some money to pay back to them. So to me, that I loved it. I thought that's a challenge, you know. So we changed some of the events. Some people didn't like it, some of the older people, because it wasn't what they'd always known, and they don't like the change. But it was a question of either doing that and making it survive, or the company would have probably said, we can't afford to do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we did, and we brought in, you know, lots of acts from outside, from tributes to some well-known acts from Chaz and Dave, Albert Lee, you know, loads of different variety of acts. And then we went on to do the concerts and the Christmas nights. I started them off with one Christmas night, and I think we was up to about 25 Christmas nights when we left. And you know, they're great, you know, because all friends, family, companies getting together and just having a good time. And you know, so we met our challenge. You know, we got to paying the 250,000 back to them, so they was happy, we was happy. I loved it because it was a challenge, really, you know, and taking it to the next era. Still done the dances for the older people as well. Don't think you should.
No.
Shouldn't ever, like you say to somemeone, see you later, you know.
Yeah, no. That's right,
but,
yeah. So when did you? Obviously, you started to get a sort of little roster of acts together that were probably.
Yeah, I think that comes.
Go-tos, were they? Or?
Yeah, I think some of it comes. You know, I made a couple of little notes to remind myself to always be like my thing. And again, you know, Chaz and David and the keep cropping up. You know, that always be real and honest, and go and do a good job. You know, and then I think things develop and you get a bit of trust. People come to you because they know you look after someone else, or they want to come and play at Acacia Hall because they've seen a band similar to theirs plays there.
Yeah. And
you build up that relationship. You know, it takes a long time to do that. And over the years, you know, I've been fortunate enough to meet. So that's the thing. Going back to the pharmaceutical company, I can't imagine if I hadn't have left there. The people that I've met since then, I can't imagine in my life not of meeting them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because the pharmaceutical company is brilliant, but you'd probably be a bit more in a bubble for a long time, and you'd have your, you know, friends and family. But the people that I've got to meet and what we've done has been brilliant. You know, so yeah. So I think it's trust, really, Vic. Going back to your question, you know, and building them relationships and just being straightforward with people, really. You know, one of the things that I feel would be interesting, because no one's really said to me, do you fancy doing a little? I've done loads of interviews in the past with like acts, celebrities and people, and been part of it, but no one's really said about would you fancy talking about the agency and the actual my thing. So it's really great that you've asked it.
Well, I think, you know, because the point about this, the podcast, was it's about sort of creativity, and then that comes in all shapes and sizes and ways of people looking at the world and just doing something different. So when you're talking about, you know, the arts, you know, music and entertainment, you can't have the entertainment without somebody actually putting the entertainment together.
No. And that's been proved in the pandemic with all the tech guys and everything, hasn't it? A lot of people just wouldn't realised what's involved to make it happen.
Well, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah. And
of course, once you start doing something like that, you know, you're involved in it. Once you get you know who to call in for the PA, you know the lighting guys, you start to get how that works together.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no. And funny enough, that's what I was going to come on to with you, because I thought, I'm glad you've asked me, you know, and you're talking about this, because one of the things with the agency side, it can have a stigma. It's a bit like an estate agent, you know, and I sort of say we're an events company, but it's got the agency side, but you know, and a lot of the time it does come down to someone not understanding someone else's job, you know. And one of the things that's happened over the years, you know, a lot of people can think they're like smart and they think, oh, we're Google, we'll go direct, we'll get the act and we don't need to speak to them. And, you know, you get some disasters. You get some big disasters. I'm not saying everyone has to book through me. You know, I've never been like that. But, you know, I even say to people sometimes, give us a call if you want me just to run it past me with some other things. But, you know, the trouble is there's a lot of people that would just supply an act and they wouldn't know who the crowd was, who the act was, what the night was. And I've just never been able to be like that. I have to know everything about. I usually go to the venues before I book anyone there. So because straight as soon as you go to the venue, you'll know this. You get a feel for it, don't you?
Yes.
You know, an artist, I walk in there within 20 seconds, you know what you're at, really, don't you?
Well, totally. I mean, the times that we've turned up to do a gig somewhere that it's, you know, it's some party or wedding, you know, back in the time when I used to do a lot of function stuff, and you walk in and you see a sound limiter.
Yeah.
Go,
yeah. Oh, don't.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
literally, it's like, and you know immediately that you've
Yeah.
you've got
Do you
to
remember
really,
years ago they used to put the rubber gloves over them and things, didn't they?
God, yeah, you've got to do all that stuff because those things never really work properly. And
No.
I mean, I remember we actually had a situation once where, and you'll know this sort of story anyway, where you could literally put the bass player underneath the sound limiter and somebody clap. And
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The power would go.
No
up.
point doing the gig, is there really?
No.
You know,
I mean, there's no way that thing was working properly.
No, and the thing is, you know, then you're spoiling someone's night, and this is the thing, you know. And going back to the Google side of it, I mean, I've got people now, like still now, over 20 years, that I would phone to book an act because I know how they've known them for years, and they've got that relationship with them, and they'd be cheaper me talking to them and sharing a commission than if I tried to book them direct.
Yes.
You know, and there's an etiquette which not everyone follows, because people think they're smart and they think, oh, we duck through them, and you know, probably a lot of the time they end up paying more and don't ever realise.
Yes.
And you know, like I said, to me, it's just so important that you've got the right person for the right crowd and the right thing. And different venues as well, they reflect the entertainment you have there. So they're suited for different things, some of them, you know.
Yes.
So
you actually said something earlier on, which I thought was quite interesting, because you mentioned obviously Chaz and Dave, and you said Albert Lee, and it's like, well, you can't, you know, Albert Lee's the guitarist's guitarist.
Yeah.
And you think, well, but you can't just put Albert Lee in anywhere.
No.
Because, you know, you've got to have somebody, you know, if you put Albert Lee on and the guitarist knew that Albert Lee or people who were into rock and roll and country music, they'd be there. But you just couldn't put him in anywhere.
No. This is the other thing as well, because I over the time I ended up having my own venue as well. I was at a venue. I've been lucky that I sort of know the entertainment from the artist's point of view, the venue and the booker. I've sort of been involved with them all, so it's great, you know, to sort of like you said earlier, to understand everyone's point, you know. And the thing is with like Albert Lee, Chaz and Dave, it's all about putting all the right things in place, and the festivals are the same, because if an artist comes along and the first thing there, they've not got a changing room, or there's all brooms and gas cylinders or something in there, or there's not, you know, and I used to think, am I doing the right, this in the early days, I think, am I doing the right thing here or not? And I'll tell you what one of the acts said in a minute, but I used to make sure they greet them. I used to always make sure the first thing, if you would like, I always think it's like someone comes to your house. Yeah. Do you want a cup of tea, or do you want this, or do you want that? You know, settle them down. They know straight away then you're looking after them. You know, I said to one of our acts once, I said, to be honest with you, I said, I don't know if I do the right thing or not, really. I said, do I go a bit overboard sometimes with, you know, because it takes time doing all that stuff, and you're doing everything else as well, you know. And he said, the thing is, Paul, he said, what you've got to remember is if a couple of gigs come up and it's a question of coming to Acacia Hall or Botley that I had, or somewhere else, he said, we're going to come to your one, aren't we? He said, because we know and do you know what? It's so true with artists. I mean, you'll know that, but there's venues you love going back to, because you know when you go there that, you know, you get a relationship with the management, the staff, you know, you have it's a nice feel to the place, and, you know, and so you look forward to going in and playing, don't you?
Yes,
you know?
Of course you do. In fact, I got to a point where, because, you know, the sort of teaching sort of took over my life. But earlier on, you were playing in all sorts of places, and you turn up at a place, and there's either like 3 flights of stairs up or 3 flights of stairs down, depending on, you know, whether you're playing in the bowels of the earth or whatever. It never ever seemed to be straightforward. And
no.
After a while, you then get to the point, as you say, that with a certain venues, you sort of go, Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah,
and it could be something very simple. It could literally
yeah,
be you turn up, it's easy to get in, easy to get out, and somebody actually offers you a drink
yeah,
and a sandwich, and it could
yeah.
literally be as simple as that. You know, it didn't have to
Course,
be a
course.
3-course meal or anything.
No, of
It's
course.
just like you felt that they were pleased to have you there.
Well, everyone likes to be like wanted, and I always say to whatever job you do, when you get up in the morning, like I used to say with all our staff and everyone, whatever you do, you know, I used to give everyone a thank you for whatever job they do, because today, you know, don't just forget, like we said earlier, with all the people with entertainment and that, and whether it's the person cleaning or whatever, that's their big day, what they're doing, you know, and to thank them, and they're part of it, and that means a lot to people then, you know, to be part of it. So yeah, it's you know, people can be a bit short-sighted sometimes, especially with, and it's probably more than ever with Google, you know, people just going direct and trying that, but it's not always the best. And the thing is as well, you know, some artists can have the best website in the world and they can't sing a note, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, you need to sort of have done your research and know a little bit more, and you know, but it's a bit like me and you. I don't know about yourself, but I'm hopeless at DIY. But it's a bit like me saying, "Oh, what, build that wall for like £1,000? I could do that for 250 quid, and you know, get the cement mix wrong or something." You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I think because we've got, and obviously this has happened a lot with teaching, is that people think they can just learn off YouTube.
Oh yeah, I bet. You know, your experience you've had. The thing is, that's, you know, for being in the bands and then teaching, I mean, you couldn't have anything better than that, could you? You know,
but of course, unfortunately, you know, there's always somebody else. Well, I suppose there's always been a touch of, there's always somebody around the corner who can do the job for half the price, type of thing.
Well,
and
yeah, you're always going to get some people.
Those people like that, and they can go and do that, can't they?
And sometimes they do that, but you know, I've had it with venues as well, and you can get a bit disheartened sometimes because you put your heart and soul into building a venue. And I love it when someone comes new and we build it over a couple of years with them, and then all of a sudden they might book someone else, like, or direct. And sometimes what happens, people interfere. They might have a committee or something. They go, my uncle's brothers, sisters, nieces, so and so, and they go, "Oh, are they? Yeah. What does he charge that for? We could do it like 50 quid cheaper." I had it even about, I think it was about, I lost track of time with the pandemic, but it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago, and the venue I'd really helped, and they had booked some people direct. I just let them get on with it, and I literally had a call about, I think it was 12 o'clock. And no one could track down the artist was coming that night. They had 170 people coming. He was nowhere to be seen. He weren't going to be there. And then I'm running around sorting him out and act and getting someone there. And then part of you thinks, is that the right thing or the wrong thing? But I always think you've got to be true to yourself. And you know, I'm not like that. And you know, and you hope to think when you do help them, they will remember and think, "Oh, he got us out of jail that night." You know.
Oh yeah. I think actually that's what happens.
Yeah.
There's a little story on a previous podcast with somebody to do with events management, which I'll give you the link at some point and tell you. It's quite funny.
I'll
it's literally what you're talking about. Where
brilliant.
Yeah.
I've had to listen to a couple of them, but not right the way through. You know.
No. I'll send you a link to this one. And
brilliant. Brilliant.
Show, because it's there's a guy who used to work for the BBC, but
brilliant.
I'll tell you more. Brilliant. So anyway, Chaz and Dave.
Yeah, I think do you know what? I think we need a separate podcast, don't we?
Yeah, let's get stuck into this then. So when did you meet them?
It was Acacia Hall. I've always grown up loving Chaz and Dave. It's just jolly music, isn't it? You know, and Acacia Hall was the first place I booked them, and then I started booking them other venues, and just, as we said earlier, get to know people a little bit more, you know, and they done more and more with them. I didn't manage them solely, you know, just booked them and become real good friends with them, you know. And if I'm ever talking to younger bands or anyone starting out, and, you know, anyone that knows me will tell you, you know, I end up quoting Chaz and Dave because, you know, over 50 years, in the music business. And when you think where they started, what they've done, like we said earlier, the indoors, good old sing song, and up the pub, it was just a good old sing song, wasn't it? You know, and they gigged and gigged and gigged and gigged and gigged, and just always stayed true to themselves, who they were, never changed. You know, sometimes, you know, your bookings go busier one year than another, don't they? You know, and they just stayed who they were all the time. Very, very clever musicians, which not everyone understands. You would. And
well, I think the thing is, amongst the musos, they are sort of respected as just being brilliant. I mean,
well, we was fortunate enough. Poor old Dave's wife passed away, and it took a couple of years off. Myself and Gary Goodmays, we done an audience with Chas Hodges. Yeah. So it went back before Chas and Dave, when he was in the Outlaws, and the Beatles were supporting the Outlaws.
Yes, exactly.
So Chas and Dave was friendly with all the Beatles guys, all that era. There's so many great musicians from that time, isn't there? You know, with Albert Lee, Eric Clapton, and you can go on forever, can't you? You know,
absolutely. I mean, you know, because I was talking to Chas, because obviously the Outlaws were Joe Meek's studio band.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, you know, we had this guy who worked with us, and Richie Blackmore was on guitar, and you sort of like, oh my God, it's
I know,
blows your mind, you know.
I know.
That was their studio band.
I know.
And you think, well, and of course, obviously, people know Chas as the piano player, but he was an amazing bass player.
I know. Well, he's with,
and it's just like you think, well, there seems to be no end to this guy's ability to play, you know.
Yeah.
I sort of working with Jerry Lee Lewis. And
I know. I mean, that's just. But he always said, I don't know if you've seen the DVD. I've got one here actually. I'll send one over to you. But he said that when he was learning different bits on the piano, he said Jerry taught him the piano, but he didn't realise he was teaching.
No, that's
He'd
right.
be on bass,
and
he would like, oh, that's that little fiddly bit there. But you know what? You know, for everything they done, Chas and Dave, they just, you know, we went on to the Rock and Roll Allotment project as well, which I mentioned in a minute. But they're just normal, always remain great, normal, heart on sleeve guys, you know. And that was a real eye opener doing the audience with. And the little piano you can see behind us is the one that was on tour with Chas, which is signed by him, you know. So it just means so much to us. I've managed to get where I am now. It's like shed in a shed, really. I'm not gonna it's I've managed over the years, because I you know, I've been going a while, and then I was at Acacia Hall, then I had Botley and done enough stuff, and I've managed to pull a few bits and bobs together all in one place for a change, you know. So but there's a couple of pictures. I don't know if it's on that one. Yeah, it's like Chas sitting at the piano on that DVD, and it's literally the piano there.
Right, okay.
It really like means a lot to us, you know. But we had such good times doing that with Chas, and the bit to me as well, you know, like, as time went on, Chas and Dave done Glastonbury, the Palladium. We went to the Royal Albert Hall, which is that one there, the Royal Albert Hall. You've never seen anything like it in your life, you know. It was, honestly, I've got a couple of video clips. It's just the biggest party ever. I don't think the Royal Albert Hall knew what hit them, to be honest with you.
Well, what fascinated me, because, you know, obviously saw Chas.
Yeah, we're talking about Bluescat, definitely.
Well, there's another, I'm referencing previous episodes.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine called Nick Jenkins, who was a journalist, but he used to run events and stuff. And he did this thing called Eurofest, which was down in Rochester, and Chas used to do that occasionally. And he did one. He then moved it to Ashford, and so it was a bigger stage and everything. So he had Chas and Dave on one night. He had Alan Price and Acker Bilk on another.
Brilliant.
On another night. But the weather was vile, absolutely vile.
Oh no, yes, you don't need that.
But what was interesting about this was that the sort of the showmanship of how those sort of guys could go on to it. It didn't matter what the weather was.
No.
And they completely dominated
I know
that stage. And what amazed me about this, and obviously going to see them play in other times, was the audience was made up, you'd think, just with old people, but it wasn't. There was loads and loads of kids there.
No.
That were, and the place erupted.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few things, isn't there? Over the years, people have known their names and granddads, mums and dads, and they like it. But Chaz used to love the fact that when the little ones used to talk about his music, because children are honest, aren't they? They'll tell you if they like something or not. Yeah. And, you know, the sort of the jolliness of all Chaz and Dave's music, when you see a little 2-year-old, you know, I've got a couple of little nephews and something that they just bounce around to it straight away, and they don't know who's who, do they? No, you know, and it's just, you know, jolly music just to have a good time, isn't it? You know, but when I was talking about Glastonbury and the Royal Albert Hall and stuff, what I was going to come on to, when I had my venue, Gary Goodmays, who's the Freddie tribute, but he's an act in his own, on his own as well, you know, he used to have his full band with him, and then we'd put a piano. Then Chaz used to come out with Joan and have some dinner out at Botley, sitting amongst everyone else. Not every artist would even do that, you know.
No.
And you know, and then the second half, he would stroll up and be part of the second half within the band, and you know, and you think not every act would do that. If they'd done the Royal Albert Hall or Glastonbury, there'd be some saying, "Oh, I can't be seen to be there," you know. I can't. And this
is the thing, because he could do I don't know, Eric Clapton's birthday party or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, he could be playing in, you know, I don't know, Ice Did Rise. In the village hall type.
A gig's a gig to Chaz and Dave.
And then the next thing he's doing some massive gig somewhere else, you know.
But I'm sure you'll agree, Vic, you know, that when I was saying earlier that I talk to younger people about Chaz and Dave, that's another thing, isn't it, really? To be able to do that and not get too full of yourself, you know, and keep gigging and just be true to yourself is quite an accolade, isn't it, really? You know? Yeah. So we went on to the rock and roll allotment. I won't go into the full story about that because it'd be another hour, but that had a column in the Sunday Express for a year, and Chaz wrote a song down at my rock and roll allotment. It's brilliant. I've got the first recording ever. I can send it to you or anyone that would like to see on a YouTube.
Okay, well, if we get some sort of link somewhere.
Yeah. No, I'll send it over, and it's just, again, like me and Gary used to have to scratch our heads because there was our heroes growing up. You know, we was on the allotment. Dave would turn up in his truck with a bit of Kindle. You know, they'd boil the kettle up with a dude, and then sit there with both of their guitars. Dave, I don't think had heard the song before. He even says it as they start, and they just sing down at my rock and roll allotment. But just to me, it's just everything about it's just great. You know. Yeah. So genuine, honest, real people. You know.
I think. You know, the thing that always struck me about them, listening to the material, you know, how clever the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, musically clever.
Yeah.
But also lyrically, incredibly clever.
Not everyone would understand that because
obviously there's a lot of, you know, rhyming.
Yeah, you get some journalist and they just they try and go on like thing of the cheesy side thing, but you think they don't understand it one bit, you know, and any musician, and especially I think as time went on as well, you know, people you try and sit there with someone and do Rabbit or you know, or a couple of the harmonies of the other songs there, and it's certainly not quite as
I mean, even a song that on the face of it is actually quite simple, like London Girls, isn't. And the way that the how clever the lyrics are, because they do express a way of how people would have spoken about. Quick funny story for you, just remind me, this is good little story, this Chaz, because it fits in with what we said about being up the pub and music and everything. You know, most people, one of their favourites is "Ain't No Pleasing You." Yes,
you know,
it's a complicated song.
I love them all. I do. I really genuinely love all their songs, but that is a lot of people's favourite. I think got to number 2, I think. And Chaz was telling us the story one day about how it come about, And they was up the pub, you know, like people would have been up after work and up the pub having a drink, and it was someone Chaz knew of or whatever, and he said, "Oh, do you know what?" He said, "The wife got some curtains today." He said, "Put them up," and he's like, "That's wonky. Oh no, I don't think I like that colour. Now we've got to change them. I've got to," you know, how blokes would have been up the pub.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he said, "There ain't no pleasing her," like type thing. And Chaz, see, someone like Chaz, and they take that all in.
Yeah.
And that song come about like that, you know, someone talking about a real life situation, say, you know, and he said, "Oh, I ain't no pleasing her," you know, and you know, clever, really, you know, really clever.
Yeah. I mean, so as I say, that type of skill of being able to create something like that, and it seems so simple.
Yeah.
Is in itself a sign of real mastery.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Another quick funny story for you. I was lucky enough to go to a few of the events, and Chaz and Dave were supporting Status Quo at the O2, not the Indigo, the O2. Right. So Chaz and Dave were in front of him. They got the piano, bass, and drums. And again, they absolutely rocked it. Actually, I mean, they're good friends. Status Quo, they've been friends forever.
Yeah.
And some of the reports that after the show saying like that Chaz and Dave, if they was as good as Status Quo, if not went down better, you know. But the bit I was going to tell you is Francis Rossi used to come out, because you know when Status Quo with all the Marshall amps.
Yeah.
And apparently he used to always come out and look at Chaz and Dave's sound check, and he looked up and said, "The trouble is with you, like, you've got too much equipment." Like, and you think, like you said, the sound from a bass, drums, and piano, you know, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Really,
it is.
Yeah. But no, so it was so sad. I mean, from your side, I mean, Chaz coming to the blues camp, he absolutely loved that.
Yeah, it was good fun.
He used to say, because when he was younger, there wasn't anywhere to really go to learn something.
No.
And I think what you do there is absolutely amazing. You know, to give anyone an opportunity, and it's not age limited, I believe, is it?
No,
it's
not. No,
and I think, you know, that is what you and Tom do there, and all the other guys and ladies. I think it's amazing, you know, to give people that opportunity, and then to see someone like Chaz come down, and someone that's, you know, been there, seen it, done it. But that's another thing I was thinking this morning before we spoke, when he come to that. Is it Charles on the drums? Who's it?
Sam Kelly.
Sam Kelly. Yeah, Sam. And he had sort of known Chaz, I think. But Chaz used to go around to every individual room when we come down to Blues Camp before he down to talk, and he would stand there and he would listen, and then anybody said to Sam, "Was that Sars?" And he's like, Chaz was still taking it in himself. Yeah. You know, which is another good quality, really, you know, because you can all think you know everything. But
the interesting thing is that when I teach kids, when I started playing, the music books were rubbish. I mean, if you played guitar, that was a different thing. But the music books were wrong.
Complete organ player number one.
Yeah, they were all wrong. They were all absolutely incorrect. But of course, Chaz was, you know, a generation before me.
Yeah.
So although I could get the records from the shop, so I'd sit down and work them out off the records. But of course, his generation couldn't, and his generation was the same as my older brother's.
Yeah.
Right. So my older brother was in the Merchant Navy. So the interesting thing was for Chaz, this is why a lot of the great musicians and bands came from places that had a port, like London, or Liverpool, right? Or, you know, Southampton or whatever, know, or Edinburgh, you know, wherever, Glasgow, whatever, where you had access to people coming off the merchant
definitely
into America.
Yeah,
guys who could come back with the records, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing was comic books.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you started getting the type of people who were writing comic books, because those things were used as ballast. So you think, my God, this is so bizarre that that's how music sort of came into the country.
Creativity, yeah.
So when I got a chance to sort of sit down and talk to Chaz about that, he was saying, well, yeah, you know, that's how we did, because there was somebody where he lived who was in the Navy, who could bring the stuff back.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, the other thing was like knowing somebody who had a TV.
Yeah.
So that if Lonnie Donegan was on the TV, you all went down to.
I think he said that. Yeah, that was one of his
whoever's
stories.
house it was, who had a TV.
No, you're right.
To sort of watch what Lonnie was doing, how he would form up
the
chords for a song.
Yeah.
And you think, well, that's really the secret of being really great and individual about being a musician, is that actually you don't have access to a lot of stuff, because now it's completely the opposite. You can get anything you want.
Yeah.
Right. But you just got good at the stuff that you knew. You knew it in depth instead of width.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, if you, everyone sees things a bit different, but I think if you do everything to, that's what my problem was when I did the piano lessons. You know, it suits some people and not others. But because you become a robot, everything's like exactly the same on where someone like put another little spin, or like when Chaz used to watch Julius and you see, he does that bit at the end. You know what I mean? You know, and it's that individual and creativity, you know.
Yes, well, it is. But it's also the fact that you can't have an awful lot of stuff to do that to. In other words, let's say, you know, because the language of contemporary music was 12-bar blues and rock and roll, right? That's how, when you got together with people, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Because you understood it was a language that you all shared. Now, that doesn't happen. So when we do blues camp, although we don't just do blues, although, you know, it says blues camp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a pun on boot camp, really.
Yeah.
But the first thing that you do is that thing of communicating in a simple form. You know, playing a piece of music that's really, really simple. What is it? You know, it could be a 3-chord song from the 1960s, or it could be a 12-bar blues, right? Yeah. But the point about it is it's simple. You're not trying to do a song with loads and loads of chords in it. You're not trying to do Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that. No. You're keeping it simple. And then you're digging deep into something. And that's, I think, what is the secret of what we do. And it's the secret of really what that, you know, those musicians who really understood definitely what made a piece of the essence of a piece of music, not because they were being fancy or clever, but you could make it clever. That was definitely, because they got their sort of quirky little bits they make themselves, haven't they? It was like it was part of the language of that type of music, you know. So I think there's a lot to be said for, you know, going back to that sort of way of thinking. Definitely. I think ultimately it makes a much better musician, and a musician that stands out amongst the rest of them. You know, and you could point to people like that. You could go, Jules Holland. Yeah. You know, even like people that are more, Amy Winehouse. Yeah. For example, even Adele. You know, people that have gone back, and look back to the past and gone. Yeah, it's quite interesting, Vic, isn't it, sometimes, because it sort of goes round in a couple of generations, it comes back as if it's new, but sometimes a slightly spin on it, but it's like that's the classic thing was Amy Winehouse with that. She could do, you know, she could sing like Dinah Washington. You know, you wouldn't know that it wasn't Dinah Washington. No. But because she'd managed to take that and nail that style, because she'd listened really, really carefully to that type of stuff. Yeah. I mean, you could say Harry Connick Jr. is another example. You know, that type of thing, where somebody really knows a style. In depth. No, there's, and that's just, you know, they say you never learn less, don't they? And like, to go back, it's good to do that, isn't it? Not just think, this is a style of music now, let me do it, and all be a bit stereotyped, but look back to some of them great musicians and what they've done. And I think that's really what summed up what was going on with you. And Dave, you know. One of the things I didn't mention to you is about the tribute acts. And I'm just conscious in case you're running out of time and that.
There was a couple of people I wanted to mention actually. I've been in the tribute world for quite a long time, you know, and people have their opinions about tributes. But again, you know, there's some real fantastic people who the actual artists have said that the tribute probably sings better than them now. Yeah, they've actually said that. They've actually said, because they can't reach some of them notes.
No,
and it's like everything again, you know. I think if you do it properly and the respect it deserves with it and the knowledge, you know, a couple of the people that, you know, we've managed to take that experience for over 10 years and they're doing like 120 bookings a year, you know, all over the country and abroad. You know, Gary Goodmay's a Freddie Mercury. You know, he's the things he's done across the world. You think he could be Freddie Mercury? You know, he got taken recently to Zanzibar to Freddie Mercury's house, and because it was a cool, you know, that Stan Terry, the Rod Stewart guy, very, very friendly with all the Rod family. Rod's sister comes to all the shows and everything, and it's interesting sometimes, isn't it? And that's why it's great, I think, to talk, because people can have that stigma and stuff. Yes, or tribute straight. Well, oh no, they're copying someone else. But
I interviewed Toby Boyle, who is Bjorn of Bjorn Again.
Yeah.
And I've known Toby for a while, but the amount of, again, character study. How that band becomes.
Okay,
and they do it in their way, because you know, it's like.
But you're respecting it, and I think the good thing is that the music living on as well. You know, I remember again. I see it always comes back to good old Chaz and Dave. Bless his heart, Gordon Bennett was a Cockney entertainer, and I took him to meet Chaz and Dave once. And Gordon just said to Chaz, and he said, "I'll do a couple of your 2 or 3 of your songs in my set." He said, "You don't mind, do you?" And Chaz said to him, "No, mate, spread the word." He said, like, and you think that difference actor, because you could get someone saying they're copying me and like they're doing anything. Chaz, no, spread the way. He loved it that he done them. He felt that was like quite respectful, you know. So that's a big part of our business, the tributes. And if it's all right, I was going to touch with you because I'm interested on your views as well. But the X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. You know, we look after Twist and Pulse at the moment, manage their live bookings,
right?
And then they're another example, really, along the lines of what we're talking, not musician wise, although they're both very, very talented, but they started off on Britain's Got Talent and done well. You know, they worked for a lot of years. They've always remained themselves. They've stuck to what they do, you know. And then the Britain's Got Talent Champions of Champions program was, I think it's about 2019, lost track of time with the shutdown, and they went in for that again, which some people think, oh no, we know we've gone past that, we've done that years ago. They won it, they won the whole thing, you know. And then but I think the only reason I'm saying all that is because a lot of people there's some bad bits about the X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, but there is a lot of good that has come out of it as well, with artists and springboarding people into the entertainment. And I think sometimes people get a little bit hung up on it, but if you go back, like Opportunity Knocks, New Faces, some of the others, there's not a lot of different, really.
Not at all. If you think about, I think it was Opportunity Knocks. Is the one that they, you know, you had what was the name of Mary? Was it Mary Hopgood?
That one I can remember. New Faces more than Opportunity.
No. Well, this is,
I can't remember
in the 60s. But she had a song written for her by it was either by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards or Lennon and McCartney.
Really?
So you sort of go, well, that worked.
Yeah. You
know. I think it's really whatever is the sort of media of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what happened, it got very, very commercial, and there's bits about it that aren't so good. But I think if people knew all the full stories about New Phase and Opportunity Knocks, it probably wouldn't be a lot different with some of the things, you know. And I just think anything that platforms that can hopefully help people, and there has been some good acts come from it, you know. There's been some not so good things, but you know, And
Yeah,
I
but
suppose
that's
that
not
goes back
necessarily to do with that, is it? It's to do with everything else that goes on with the entertainment.
yeah, I think
It's always been like it.
yeah,
It's not like
yeah.
it's new.
I think going back to what we've said a few times throughout the conversation, I think just go out there and do what you do and love and enjoy it. Always remain true to yourself and heart on sleeve, and believe in what you do and go and enjoy it. Really, isn't it? Just take a few little. If you get little opportunities along the way, that's great, isn't it?
It is.
But it's yeah. So it's not all bad. But it's good to know that you're still doing the blues camp anyway.
Oh yeah,
that's brilliant.
A lot of things coming up now, which is nice. So
yeah, no, it's real good. I'd recommend anyone, if anyone's listening that has never definitely go to the blues camp.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. It's actually we sort of do things where you sort of think, well, if you told people that this is what you're going to be able to do in 3 days, they'd go, no, that's hype. So it's always actually really.
It's amazing.
People people always say the same thing. They've never just don't believe that it's possible.
Well,
they've just done what they've just done.
It'd be nice, really, if it expanded and went. That'd be a brilliant thing. I believe for schools and everything, because. Just like Chaz said that time, I think just to get that opportunity, because there is a bit of nervousness sometimes. People never believe it. They laugh their heads off. I say this to them now, but I am, and probably am a bit still now, really. But they laugh shy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hold back. And I'm probably perhaps that's why with the events and everything, I'm better at talking about someone else and promoting them and saying how good they are than I would be for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes I think to be able to go something like the blues camp, someone might not have quite had that know where to go or a little bit nervous or whatever, but you just welcome people there and it's all ages, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I honestly think it's amazing what you do there,
It's been good fun. So what presumably things are beginning to take shape again now, are they?
Yeah, we're back. The lads have been out, the Take That lads, they've done a few holiday camps. Our first theatre, we've got, luck would have it, we've had a lot of rescheduled, so they've got about 40 theatre dates to do this year. Oh. Yeah, so that's good. And Sunday just gone, I was with Twist and Pulse at the Glowworm Festival in Nottingham. I went with, and they had 7,000 people there. And you know what, it was so well organised and everyone was still quite spaced out family-wise. They had a good variation of entertainment. It was just so nice, Vic, to sort of see it back. And, we've all got to earn a living, I know that, but it's the sort of the enjoyment side, entertainment side, and seeing people be happy, and let out. And I think where people have been shutting and something taken away from them, I think they want it even more at the moment, bouncing off the walls.
I think so. And may it stay like that for quite some time.
Yeah. So this just keep everything crossed that we things keep that way and keep busy, and there's no more illnesses or lockdown, and hopefully just go forward and be positive.
Well, I think we've got to get to a point of dealing with the fact that it's it's a fact of life.
I think so. Yeah, I've been back to a football match, and people were. You can see the confidence every time. Even if you pop to Blue Water or somewhere, you can see not so many people wearing the masks now and things. But I think a lot of people got their own little opinions about the situation of everything. But the main thing is to move forward, isn't it? Just all try and move forward and try and bet the best we can, And I always see it my job to get some events going and keep people happy.
Yeah, keep people happy, Paul.
Yeah.
That's the thing to do, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
It's what they call it, social. What was the thing? Not social information, but it's like you're doing something for society generally.
Well, there's too much doom and gloom in there all the time. Things, during this, you keep. I don't know why we do it. So you flick the news and you've been pounding people's eggs with bad news all the time. Why am I watching that? And you think, yeah. I mean, I know. Like, you can't be bouncing around laughing all the time, but in general, if you can keep a bit of, it's funny, you know, because I see so many posts about fitness and health, which are very important. I know a few people are doing it, but there's not too many about being happy.
Well, I think that's the thing. It's,
trying to get like
just
life balance.
Yeah.
And you think it's all right being the fittest person in the world, but if you're miserable, it don't help, does it?
You're not going to be fit.
And I do honestly believe as well, I personally, that some illnesses and that can be connected to the word they use now. I don't like some of the words they use nowadays, but well-being, they would probably say, wouldn't they? Well,
they've known this for ages, that lots of illnesses are what they call psychosomatic. And it affects, if you don't feel happy, it's probably that your immune system's completely shot away at this point. It doesn't help you, does it?
Not at all. No, not at all. But so hopefully we'll keep a bit of music going. I know I first met you, didn't I, through Tom, my little cousin.
In fact, I've got a feeling that the first time I probably met you was actually at the Acacia Hall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I got a feeling that you put something on down there. That's what came down. With the little group, because this is when they were all still at school. Yeah,
and I remember him because Tom with Rob, my other cousin, so he used to be by the piano when we was all like having a go, trying to work some things out on there, mucking about. And so it's great to see how well he's done with everything. Mm-hmm. And I think his introduction was me when he was Vic, and he said he's as good as Eric Clapton. So I was like,
I just haven't got the money.
So they are.
Got Eric's money. Yeah.
You lived up to the.
That's a nice compliment, anyway.
Yeah. But it's nice, you've helped him, haven't you, along, and you've seen how he's developed. And don't you think that's a great thing as well? If I won the lottery or if things pounded on in the future, I'd love to have a bit like Blues Camp, I suppose, but where it's like. I've even got a little name for it, like give them a chance, and like give people a chance in life to go an avenue that they want, because you don't know how to sometimes. You could be in a place, like if you want to be a footballer, I'm talking mainly about entertainment and music, but you don't know where to go or who to see, or do you? No. And sometimes people might not quite be able to afford to do that, but just to give that little opening. And what I love more than anything, I love to see someone from that small acorn and then really do well and get on and do. I love that. I think it's the best thing for us, isn't it, that you could wish for, Yeah. But
that's fantastic. That was
brilliant. Nice catching up. I hope we didn't go off track too much. I think we was give people a little insight. If anyone ever wants to contact us or speak to us about email or phone, I honestly don't mind, because sometimes it's just them little bits you might have learned over the years and you can pass on and help someone else. I'm more than happy to ever do that.
Well, that's brilliant. What I'm going to do, I'll put the stuff on the show notes. You can say it over now, but I'll put contact details on there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But that's, it's an important thing, because as you say, there's too much information out there now. You drown in it.
Yeah,
you can't actually find anything, because
if you Google, if you Google and the web's great for lots of things, but sometimes you can put one thing up and get 10 versions, can't you? And
10, I think.
Yeah. So
it's a wash with stuff, isn't it?
It is, which is good in some respects, but it's just I think someone that's been through it, like yourself, with what you do, and our side with the venues and the acts, and it's just sometimes just good to have a little chat about it, isn't it? And if someone's starting out, they think, that's the other thing nowadays. It's not easy, is it?
No, in fact, I think it's actually harder.
Because there's not quite so many venues, and you think, where do I send you? Just people just to get that little sort of door opening. It's not easy.
It's not. I think it's actually worse.
But we've got to try and always doing it is always break down them doors and keep going forward and like try and make things happen. I mean, it worries me a little bit about venues because I've been associated with lots in this area over the years, and you can count the ones that have disappeared or gone. And I'm like I keep saying to a lot of people lately in the Cockney way, it all comes down to the dosh, you know, with people. And what's a little bit of a big shame, not a little bit of a shame, is what people don't always see is the springboard from like a venue to what it creates other places.
Exactly.
You know, when I was at Acacia Hall, we had that buzzing, and then me and Clive built the wedding venue. All the offshoots and locally, and like people coming in and they're, oh, we went to a wedding there. Oh, do you know what they've got a Chaz and Dan, they've got Albert Lee, or they've got tribute there, and it's all them making it buzz along. But
well, that's the thing. It's like footfall, isn't it, to the theatre? You might have a venue date lined up, but if you haven't had that venue open for 6 months, it's like how many tickets have they sold? Because you just don't get that people coming in or walking past. You know. And it's quite difficult to explain entertainment and to an accountant. Oh.
Not all of them, but like, another quick little story for you before we go. But when I was again at Acacia Hall, this is a good little example. They used to do a salsa night, I think, on like a Wednesday, and we was all cool with each other. We was all on the committee with it, also making sure it was all ticking. And it was a brilliant guy. I still know him. And he said, "We can't do this salsa night. You know, they have a lime and orange juice, or lime and soda and an orange juice. We take like £79 and we have to pay like £63 for the staff, you know." And I said, yeah, but you've got 80 people coming to that. I said, and like, it would sit empty on a Wednesday. I said, you've got people coming to the venue and it's keeping it alive, you know. Anyway, we had this little conversation and I had the best bit of luck ever. The one of the salsa ladies, and because we used to ask people when they come along with like any bookings, she picked up my Christmas brochure. Look, because we used to leave them out as people come to the salsa class, and she made a £10,000 corporate booking, you know, for a Christmas party for a company she worked at. But you can't. No. The trouble is with entertainment, like we said at the start, it's not black and white really. No. It's not black and white. No, and it would, a lot of them things would get lost how then people come to have the booking, you know. But see, all I think is you just got to keep going and just try your best and keep, you know, every avenue you can, don't you? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have. Well, thanks, Paul.
No, cheers, but it's been really great talking to you. Really great.
Good to chat. Yeah. And best of luck with everything you're doing.
Thank you very much, and you. And we must catch up soon. Now we're allowed out.
Yes, we must do. I'll keep you to that. All right. Speak to you soon.
All the best, mate. Cheers.
Bye. So big thanks to Paul. I thought that was really interesting hearing the other side of organising gigs and stuff like that. And obviously, as he was saying, artists and people who book acts and stuff like that often get the wrong idea of how, you know, people who work as sort of agents operate, you know, how important they are. So it's really good, and always good to hear little stories about Chaz and Dave. So until next time, see you soon.